What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Tim here, back with a topic that, if I'm being honest, has really been bothering me lately. I've been thinking about it a lot. I even did a short kind of touching on it, but I was like, I gotta come back and do a full-length video on this because we need to talk about this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not dead yet. We're just middle-aged, okay? Those of us who've been blessed, and it is a blessing. Those of us who've been blessed to make it to 40, make it to 45, 50, 55, it is a blessing. But we walk around here acting like it's the third curse of Himotep or something. You know what I mean? We walk around here acting like it is the worst thing ever and that life is over. We act like life is over at 40 years old, and once you're middle-aged, it's all downhill from there. Now, I want to say it's not our fault for believing that. It is the programming, it is the messaging we've heard our entire lives. That's why people in their late 30s get very scared about turning 40, because that's what they've heard. People have told them that it's over at 40. Now, at the same time, we all know that people are living to be 80, 90 years old out here. So if you do a little quick math, if I'm 40 and I'm going to live to be 80, I'm only halfway home. So what you're telling me is that I just reached the second half of my life and you want me to, it's the second half of the game and y'all want me to stop playing. Hey, y'all did great in the first half of the game, but we've reached the second half, so stop playing. Everybody sit on the bench. Game over. No, we are not dead yet. Life is not over. We're just middle-aged. We're just in a different phase of our life. It's a different stage. It's a different chapter. But guess what? Just hopefully, we lived our life to the fullest in our 20s, in our 30s, in our teens, whatever. We can do the same in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and on. There is no rule, no law that says once you get a certain age, you got to slow down. But I talk with so many people and I see different videos, I read people's comments, and one thing people love to do is just scare you about getting older. Oh, you're older now, you better get ready for when you're infirm or when your back goes out or you throw your hip out or you get sick or you're too whatever to work. Our whole life, we are pre-planning for our bodies breaking down and our minds going at certain ages. And therefore, when we hit 40, which we think is the starting point for all that, we get super nervous and we start making life decisions that basically are just putting us on the path to death. I'm like, what are we doing? Especially since the things that get us up out of here, the real boogeymen and boogie women in life that get rid of our life or take our life, don't care about age. Think about that. The Grim Reaper ain't an ageist. The Grim Reaper don't care about ageism. The Grim Reaper will get you up out of here any age at 5, 25, 45, 55, 85. The Grim Reaper don't care. All the things that kill the most people kill at every age. But yet, for some reason, when we get a little older, we get in our 40s and 50s, we start really worrying about those things. They could have got you up out of here at 20, but you didn't worry about it at 20 because people didn't tell you to worry about it in your 20s. If you're going to die in a car accident, it don't wait until you're 50. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what age it is. If a bus hits you, you up out of here, right? But we don't think about it that way. We've just been programmed and conditioned to believe, oh, you hit a certain age, you really got to start worrying about all this other stuff that could have got you at any time. I think about this too. I know me, my whole life, I was told that as a young black male, especially when I lived in Atlanta, I was more likely to die than anybody else in America between the ages of 15 and 24 or something. As a young black male, I was more likely to die than anybody else. That was the stat they told me. So for somebody like me, when I hit 30, I'm up. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm more likely to live than when I was in my, you know what I mean? I'm more likely to live as a middle-aged black man. You know what I mean? Especially now that I'm out the South. That's not a shot at the South, but you know what I'm saying? Especially outside of certain cities, I'm more likely to live now. You know what I mean? So sometimes there's outside factors, but it's just so funny that we automatically just believe that it's over. And I will admit, yes, there are things that come with getting older. You know, do I wish I could keep all the stuff I had in my 20s? You know, like you start to look a little different. Okay? I did not have the salt and pepper beard when I was 27. Now, ladies in the chat, you can discuss whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you know what I mean? Things change. Sometimes we may not be looking as youthful as we used to look. We may not have the same energy we had before. You know, people might look at us a little different, or the people who might used to look at us don't pay us no attention now. Things do happen. We are transitioning into a different phase in life, but we don't have to see it as negative. Like, it just is what it is. Everything changes, everything transitions. Like, and I think if we weren't programmed to believe it was bad, we would see it as like a beautiful thing. For example, if we lived in a culture where everybody died before 40, if you looked 50, you would be that person. You know what I mean? People, you know how jealous people would be? Are you 55? Like all the stuff that we look in the mirror as we get older we don't like, if we lived in a society where people didn't make that age, that would be like the ultimate. Oh, look at all those wrinkles. You've got to be in your 60s. You know what I mean? Like it's all like up here. It's all up here. And that's what I'm saying. We got to stop with this messaging. Like we do it to ourselves. I hear people all the time, like already saying how sick they're going to be, or how bad their life's going to be, or how much pain they're going to go through as they're getting older. And it's like, you got to think about, if you're this age saying that about yourself, say you're 46 saying that, the kids younger than you are hearing you, they're picking up on that too. They're just going to perpetuate that programming. It's like sometimes we got to think about ourselves, but also the next generation. I would much rather my nieces and nephews and the people younger than me, you know, that maybe I have the blessing to like mentor and talk to, they hear me talking amazingly about 40. Tim, how's it to be 45? I love it. I'm still outside. You know what I mean? I think we should be more adventurous as we get older. I think we should be more adventurous as we get older, and like in the manner that works for you. You don't have to be adventurous like Tim. You know, you ain't got to travel around the country, staying in hostels and hotels and working in the middle of the woods. You don't have to adventure like me. But I think we should all find the adventure that we long for, that we crave, and keep doing it. And maybe even do it at a higher level. Because guess what? Like when you were 20, if you made a mistake, and it was a big mistake, well, you have to live with that for the next 60 years. But if I'm 50 and I'm being adventurous or taking some risk and I make a mistake, I only got to live with it for 30 years. If that long. You know what I mean? Like I love the amusement park analogy for life. And if you think about it, if you're in an amusement park and it's about to close, or it's going to close in an hour, what do? You start, oh, let me go ride this ride. Let me go ride that ride. I only got one day here. I only got an hour left. Let me ride as many rides as I can. You don't just be like, oh, it's closing in an hour. Let's just sit here, wait for it to close. Then I guess we'll leave. But like we do that in life. You know, we hit 40, we hit 50. I guess it's over now. I'll just sit here and, you know, these last 30 years, these last 40 years, I'll just sit here and wait for whatever's coming to get me. I'm like, nah, we're not dead yet. We're just middle-aged. If we still have the ability to get up and get about and do the things we love to do, we got to be doing them and doing more of them. What have you got to lose? It's always fascinating to me that the people who are kind of the most fearful are also like, and are just like certain that death is coming or bad things are happening. They're just certain. You can't talk them out of it. It's horrible. Those are the same people who are always like scared to do anything. I'm like, but you already certain it's the worst it's ever been. Bad things are going to happen. What do you think is going to happen if you take risk? You would think if I was like, I know it's over, I would just be out here doing whatever I wanted to do. But it's funny, like the people, oh, my life's over. I'm 54 now. Sit at home and just watch TV. I'm like, if you think your life is over at 54, you should be living it up. Like, you know, it's just, that's how you know, like whenever you see people like behaving illogically, you know, it's like programming, conditioning, something like that, because it's not going to be logical. They're just acting off what they heard. I'm like, let's get out here and be more adventurous. If you mess up, so what? You only got to deal with it 20 years. You're probably not going to mess up. Because guess what? Remember when you was 20 and you was doing all that craziness? You didn't have the wisdom. You didn't have the knowledge. You didn't have the experience. A lot of times you'd have the money. Now you do. Hopefully you got more wisdom, knowledge, experience, maybe more coins. You can adventure in manners in which you never used to adventure. But if we allow the programming to dictate our life, we will think that middle age is like it, that it's over. And now, real quick, I want to talk about why the programming is there. You ever notice that like in every facet and aspect of our life, people come along and like try to tell us what we need to be doing or tell us what to expect? It's typically negative. No one ever tells you to come, no one ever comes along and tells you something positive to expect in life. You ever notice that? Whenever someone's trying to tell you about life, it's always like negative. No one ever comes along and says, oh man, when you hit this age, it's gonna be amazing. You can do this, you can do, no, it's always like, oh, you better do this, but it's control. It's all control. The powers that be don't want you living an amazing life, right? The powers that be don't want you having adventures. The powers that be don't want you finding fulfillment and meaning. Why? Because you spend far less money and you turn to them far less in those situations. They want you turning to them, handing over all your power to them, as well as all your time, energy, and money. Now, if I've discovered fulfillment in life, if I've discovered a meaningful life, if I'm a person who's sat down and figured out what I want to do with this life, what adventures do I want to go on, you know what I mean? All that type stuff, I'm tuned into me. I'm going to do that stuff. I don't need you. I'm not going to be fully vested in your government and in your politics, especially when it's crazy. You know what I mean? I'm doing me. I'm not going to put up with whatever you want me to put up with. No, because I figured out another way. So that's why in like every stage of your life, that's why like as soon as you graduate high school, it's like, you better go to school so you can get a good job, so you can start working, because then they got you. You get to middle age. Oh, you better be careful about this. You better be careful about that. You got to look out for this. You got to look out for that, because they got you. You get older. Oh, you got to have this much saved for retirement. You got to do this. You got every single stage. They got these rules and these beliefs that they try to put on you, and you'll notice that it makes you conform to like society and what they want you to do. That's why no one ever, other than crazy people like me, comes along and just says, hey, all you got to do is get from womb to tomb. Do whatever you want. As long as it ain't bothering nobody, do what you want. So at 47, 48, do what you want. At 68, do what you want. At 18, do what you want. Figure out what you want to do and do it. Like ride this thing on out. Like we all know life ends. Yet we're like so scared of doing anything, of coloring outside the lines. Like what? This thing ends, people. It's over. None of this matters. You know what I'm saying? Like what do you got to lose? Why are you shutting down? Why are you giving up? Why are you suddenly think like you're the sickest, weakest, most powerless person just because you're 39, about to be 40? No, that's when you start making plans for that next phase. Now I can start doing all the stuff I didn't do when I was 30. I'm gonna do it in my 40s. If I don't get to it in my 40s, I'm gonna do it in my 50s. We're not dead. We're not dead. I think part of the reason there's so much ageism in the workplace is because everybody's been feeding, ourselves included sometimes, have been feeding into it. We've told people it's over at 40. So of course, when you're 50, the boss, if they don't know no better, is gonna be like, let me get somebody 30. It's society's fault. Like it's our fault. Nah, even at the job. Hey, I'm 55, but I can do this job better than anybody else. I'm finna show y'all, or I'm gonna figure something else out. I'm gonna show y'all either here, or I'm gonna show y'all doing whatever next I do. Because I still got the mind, I'm still good. I can still do what I gotta do. So I'm gonna show y'all one way or the other that my age isn't an impediment. It's not holding me up. I'm just in another stage, and even in this stage, I can take care of myself. We're not dead, people. We're just in another stage. We're just middle age. Let's enjoy it. You know what I mean? I want all of us to look back at every decade in our life and be like, man, that was an amazing decade. I don't want us to just like look back at our 20s for the rest of our life. Be like, I had fun back then. Nah, I had fun in my 20s. I had fun in my 30s. Having fun in my 40s. I'm having fun in my 50s. Like, I'm just gonna live this life. And the closer I get to death, or the age where I think death might be coming, I think the more adventurous I'm gonna get. What do I have to lose? Love y'all.